Welcome to Money Talk Viewpoint. I'm Chantel Leeson. We're a talk show for financial professionals that specialize in working with business owners, family-owned businesses, and family office. And so I have a myriad of guest speakers that come on and talk about different aspects of the industry. Today I have a CPA, and it's Marie Torreson. So she's going to tell us about what she does as a CPA. And let me start with, Marie, thank you for being on our show today.
Thank you, Chantel. I'm excited to be here.
And we're glad to have you. I'd like to know a little bit about what you do, because there are different aspects of being an accountant and being a CPA,
yes,
and how you got started in that industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just like every other accountant or CPA, I went to college. I went to Florida International University, got my bachelor's and master's in accounting, and then I set for the CPA exam, which has 4 parts. But it's something that most people don't know, and most business owners don't know, is that as a CPA, you have different avenues. Just like a doctor would eventually choose an area of expertise, as a CPA, you might be focused on financial audits, which is the assurance services. You could be in forensics, which requires a little bit more, specified certification. There's also tax, which is most what people think is every CPA is doing taxes, which is not actually true. And of course, there's also CPAs that may have transitioned from public accounting to private accounting, and they usually become controllers and CFOs of, major companies.
Well, let me ask you, how do you stay competitive in your industry, and what do you do that differentiates what you do from your competitors?
That's a great question, Chantel. So when I launched my firm, and again, I started my career as a financial auditor, and then I went into private accounting, became a controller, then a CFO. So when I left the private practice to go start my own business, it was actually very difficult to differentiate myself. I wanted to do outsourced CFO services, which most business owners did not even understand what I was saying, because they are small businesses and they haven't had that experience of having a CFO guide the next steps of their business, doing the financial analysis and guiding them through a forecast. So that was very, very hard. And marketing was not something I knew how to do. And in college, we're learning about the technical specific accounting. We go into becoming a financial auditor. It was, again, very technical. We are doing the work versus actually promoting or talking about what we do. So marketing was not my forte, but over time, I found a few people that kind of guided me through it, and then eventually found my mentor, who really helped me expand my whole idea of what it is to be to build a brand, right, and really stand out as who you are and what you do. And to me, that was a big, a wake-up call, which I never even knew. So what I do is I focus on building relationships. That's always been that's what I'm, it's important to me. So I like building relationships with people. So when I do work for a client, I want them to see me that main resource that they can reach out to. So whether I have the answer or I have to bring someone else on the table to get that answer the question resolved, I want them to see me that resource. I want to something is off, I'm going to call Marie. I need insurance, I'm going to call Marie. I need, taxes, I'm going to call Marie. So I want that to be that main person, that strategic partner. And that's how I try to differentiate myself.
I like that you work with a team, because that's what I do. I do it as a family office, which we're going to talk about that with you a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I find that teamwork to me is the most effective way to build good relationship with the client and to provide the best quality service. Because I work in the financial services industry. I started in institutional, actually, which is where I started in New York. I used to be the back office person. We're talking a generation ago practically now. I did what's called bond accruals in those days. And then I went from that to being an analyst. I used to chart stock. Oh my God, I'm going to say the truth now. I started stocks with pencil and graph paper. So this is before computers. But like you, over time, I moved to another part of the industry. I went on from that, and I was in out west. I was out in California, and I worked initial public offerings, and I was part of the underwriting team for that. But when I ran my own practice, one of the things I found is that when you work with other people, clients value that because they know they're really getting good advice. They have to trust the people you're referring to you. Let me go to another step. I want to ask you now, you have to have a good online presence. How do you build an online presence, particularly as a small business owner?
Oh, that's such a great question. And this was quite a journey for me as well, because I launched my firm in 2020. 2020, so basically COVID shutdown happened, but I think in March, time frame. So there was really nothing happening for a very long time. So I used that time to learn how to market and build that brand and build that social presence. So for small businesses, however small they are, even if they're like making 250,000, 300,000, a million, doesn't matter. They all have to have a social presence, because right now having just a website alone is not enough, because that's like a storefront and that's it. It's just informational. But then you want to be able to engage with people, so you have to go on social media, and you might be picky on which one to be, but you want to have that social presence of having a Facebook page, maybe an Instagram account, a Twitter account, depending on what business you're in. You want to be able to start connecting with people, and that's what it's there for. You want to connect as you, the business owner, and the business itself. So it takes time. And I know one of the things that happened to me is when I was starting out, I would look at, for example, other accounts, and I would see millions and millions of followers. But one of the key things that I learned from my mentor is that, sometimes some of those are built over time, right? So you have to give yourself grace. It's not going to happen overnight. And the second one is that some people do it by purchasing, or robots basically doing it. So for small business owners, I would say take one social media account at a time and start posting something, that stands out, that could teach, could help people, and then build that engagement and the following, organically. And don't worry about what other people they are doing, where they have achieved, because you don't know when they started.
I think that's a very important point, because